welcome to another episode of Web3 Disruptors. I'm thrilled to welcome Evin McMullen. She is the CEO and co-founder of Disco, your identity for the Metaverse. Disco enables your personal data backpack, making data and reputation portable across Web2 and Web3 blockchain ecosystems. She is also the co-founder of Dow Jones and InkDAO and an advisor to Boys Club. She's a graduate from Yale University and she has promised to bring the fun on this podcast. So Evin, over to you. It is such an honor to have you on the podcast today.
Well, GM, back to you. Thank you so much for having me. And I am very excited to get this party started.
Perfect. So maybe as a starting point, you could walk our listeners through your journey into Web3. How did you get here?
Absolutely. So one of the really fun things I think about this ecosystem is that there's no front door. There's no right way to start or same shared experience that everybody had to get here. For me, my journey actually began before the term Web3 was in popular use or even, in my awareness. I first discovered decentralized or distributed technologies by learning about Bitcoin. And that's really when I came to appreciate the concept of peer-to-peer networks in a more tangible and academic way. Although I had been exposed to sort of early forms of that, learning about things like Napster and LimeWire and early file sharing. And so it's really through an appreciation of Bitcoin that I was enamored of the idea that you could create an identity. You could choose to transact with someone else's identity, and neither of you would have to ask anyone else for permission. And so this concept of sovereignty, of unique control and ownership was really inspiring in light of, the sort of growing swell of social media. This is around probably 2010 and 2012 or so. And that sort of led me on a course of understanding how data moves around the world and how that informs the connected experiences that we have as individuals.
Okay, cool. And so how did that lead you to founding Disco? So sharing a little bit around what Disco is bringing to the world and kind of the problems that you're solving.
So the journey of my career kind of wound through a variety of human-centered design practices, from technical content supporting, academic teams, connected hardware teams, and even then working on connected hardware like toothbrushes and autonomous vehicles. I then spent a little over 4 years at a company called Consensus, developing the ecosystem around the Ethereum blockchain. And it was there that I had the opportunity to learn about what it means for enterprises, governments, and application developers to engage decentralized technologies and build novel experiences, largely around tokens and DeFi. And it was through that experience and, in my own practice that I realized that if we want to play more interesting coordination games together using Web3 technologies, other than pooling capital and spending it like a DAO or collecting NFTs or speculating in DeFi, that we need to know more about one another. If the only thing I know about you is your address, then all I know is how much money you have, right? What tokens are mapped to your public key, what's in your wallet. But you are a whole person with preferences and experiences, accomplishments and talents, and you are so much more than the financial contents of your wallet. And so at Disco, we believe you are the multifaceted center of the party, just as you are, and you should reflect your data and your identity to the world however you decide. We believe that the metaverse, the vision we're all working toward, should enable your ability to show up in any digital or physical environment and enjoy a personalized experience based on the parts of yourself that you choose to share. And so that's why we built Disco and your data backpack, so that you can carry around data written about you using the same keys that you use on chain, so you can make onboarding easier and shortcut the journey to personalized app experiences that are built not only around the financial tokens that you bring with you, but also the other data. Everything from your star sign to your t-shirt size to memberships in your favorite communities, your social graph, and even the music you listen to. So at Disco, we are very excited about empowering you with more than just financial freedom using Web3 technologies, but allowing you to show up as your full self, whatever that set of traits and preferences and qualities might entail beyond just the money that you have.
Sounds incredible. And so how far are you into this journey? When did you found Disco?
So we founded Disco a bit over a year ago, so we are still early as far as startups go. However, we've been able to achieve quite a lot in that time. Our beta has taught us incredibly valuable lessons about scaling, about user experience journeys, and the ways that we can extend the capabilities of our existing key pairs. So we support over 100,000 credentials on the platform, tens of thousands of users, and really excited about all of the different ways that they are leveraging this new form of data asset. In the same way that, the introduction of Web3 technologies and tokens allowed us to learn how to do new actions inside of apps. Similarly, Disco is enabling that for individuals, communities, and organizations. And so really excited to see how, incorporating more technologies allows us to do more in social applications, in enterprise applications, and, coming soon in many more different types of content and interfaces.
It's amazing. And so if I was an individual and I wanted to onboard to Disco, what does that experience look like?
So today, Disco is a supported experience for those who already manage their own keys, for those who already have a crypto wallet. Although we'll be increasing the range of folks we can support soon, so definitely stay tuned in the coming quarter. But for those of you who already have your own crypto wallets, such as Zerion or MetaMask, you can simply visit app.disco.xyz, connect your wallet with one click as you would normally a Web3 application, and we will set up a data backpack for you right there on the spot. It only takes a few minutes to get started, and then you can immediately start creating and sending out credentials to others, everything from a friendly GM letting them know that you are participating in this ecosystem and a way for you to interact between your keys, to even creating access controlled group chats for your groups of friends, creating collaboration tools like Google Docs that are limited to a set of folks who you want to identify, whether that's based on traits that they've done on chain or based on their participation in the community or even in your Discord channel.
Great. And so switching gears slightly, I'm quite curious on more of a personal level how you found or how the experience has been for you as a founder in the space.
So this is my first company. Disco is my first startup, and so it's been an incredible learning journey for me. I definitely would say that I found the space to be inspiring, collaborative, challenging, certainly, but I guess that's all, that all comes with the territory.
Mm-hmm. And so the process of, there'll absolutely be people that are listening to the show today with their own idea. And, that sort of journey from idea, that ideation phase through to you're a year into this is, can often feel like a real mountain to climb. What advice would you give to any aspiring startup founders within the Web3 space?
Well, I appreciate that metaphor very much as a mountain climber myself. And so I would actually say that climbing mountains, building companies, and working in Web3 are all pretty similar in that they are activities best pursued with teams and the support of those you trust. In fact, building trust minimized networks is a game of trust because that means we need to collaborate with counterparties who we may not necessarily know and we may not necessarily have complete information. But cryptographic technologies make this type of network possible. So blockchains are a multiplayer game. You can't have a blockchain by yourself. That's a database. And so whatever the pursuit, whether it's exploring a new idea, battle testing a thesis, or trying out a new interface for the first time, definitely recommend bringing a friend, engaging with the community, and making this a collaborative endeavor. Because necessarily these networks are composable and collaborative and require us to work together. So might as well start with that mindset from the jump.
Yeah, in the beginning, as I introduced you, I think we kind of referenced some of the different communities and things that you're also a part of, and particularly as an advisor. What do you think are some of the challenges that are unique to women in this space, and any advice in terms of navigating that?
So I wouldn't say that there are really any challenges that are unique to women, other than, those that we wake up with in the morning and acknowledge as a factor of being alive on this planet. I actually think that we have an unfair advantage when it comes to the exploration of this space right now, because we represent a minority viewpoint that is underrepresented in technological development and leadership in this ecosystem. But we also represent the perspective that controls the majority of consumer spending globally. And so we know that, audiences of women control capital, make significant decisions for households across the planet. And so the more thoughtfully we are able to engage a broader audience, the more market opportunity we are able to recognize. So I definitely think that although, there are many unique challenges for people of all different identities, I think this current growth of the Web3 ecosystem is inviting a broader set of participants.
So you talked about the space being very community driven, and your own excitement is quite palpable. What are your predictions for the space? Where do you see more broadly Web3 going over the coming years?
So as with the early development of the internet, we've observed network technologies begin as toys, begin as joyful corners of exploration, cozy spaces, and new experiences. And I think that is the part of the cycle in which we find ourselves here with Web3. The future of crypto is fun. It is engaging and human, and it is more closely attuned to the types of activities we already do, the places where we already hang out. We're currently seeing a groundswell of enthusiasm for decentralized social media, for improved e-commerce experiences, and even content and music discovery. And so I think that in the very short interim period, we're going to see an explosion of many different new ideas, some of them extremely financialized, some of them not. But I definitely think that new waves of participation from the global stage, from the Middle East, from Southeast Asia, from Africa, are still going to start to have a more outsized impact on the sort of cultural trajectory and global demographics of this ecosystem as well.
And so for many people, just navigating and understanding Web3 and how to set up a wallet and even just beginning at kind of the basics is a challenge. And so to a certain extent, it could even be seen as exclusionary in terms of the current sort of barrier to entry. In what ways will Disco support this idea of more adoption and more people that are bridging that gap from people who want to make that leap from Web 2 to Web 3?
So right now, if you want to interact on chain, for example, you want to purchase a token or participate in some activity that involves a smart contract and some gas, that means you have to do probably 7 or 8 steps beforehand. You have to download a wallet, manage your seed phrase, sign up with a centralized exchange, provide a government ID, pass KYC, move capital from a bank account into that exchange, purchase a crypto token, and then transfer it into your wallet to begin. Now, as you note, of course, that can be pretty complex and in some cases unduly costly to new participants. And so with Disco, we are already lowering that barrier by about 6 steps, meaning that you don't need to fund a wallet to get started with Disco. You can use a fresh, brand new one, or one that you've used to relate to social media accounts but haven't necessarily funded or put on chain. That's because you can use your keys for so much more than holding money. You can use them to hold and create information about you that doesn't cost a cent. Because of course, it doesn't cost a penny to be yourself in real life. And we believe the same is true online. So with Disco, we make it really easy for you, once you've created that wallet, to immediately start using your keys to get comfortable with the idea of creating and managing digital assets and carrying them around to different applications. Now, beyond that, you also very correctly note that even that limitation of downloading a wallet could be arduous for new folks in this space. And so that's why we are building out Web2 registration, meaning you'll be able to start your disco adventure with an email address or more familiar thing than just, than a crypto wallet that might be, unduly complex. Additionally, we think it's very important to acknowledge the human being who you are outside of the blockchain already. Most of the data that describes you doesn't live on chain and quite frankly shouldn't. And so Disco makes it easy to pack up data that already exists about you or that you create outside of a blockchain environment, but pack it up and put it in your backpack in a way where you can carry it with you to blockchain related interactions if you want, and control it using the same cryptographic technology and security that you use to manage tokens on chain. So providing that same level of security for your personal data that you would hope to enjoy for your tokens.
What's the mechanism for that last piece there, where you talk about sort of being able to bring your in real life presence into this?
Absolutely. So there are plenty of applications that we use every single day that allow us to create data about ourselves. For example, I can listen to music on Spotify. I can make purchases on Shopify. I can show up to an event and interact with a person IRL. All of these actions can involve an event happening in an app. And that means any event happening in an app can trigger or print the creation of a credential, drop that credential right into my data backpack. So if you imagine living your life like a video game, and your data backpack, comes around with you to collect all of these experiences, adventures, and assets that you're interacting with, then you can decide to use them later if and when they are useful.
Very, very cool. That paints a really interesting picture of what the future state can kind of look like as well. So I can imagine there's so many other kind of applications, and there's a long kind of runway in terms of where this could really go. What would be your vision for the organization kind of long term? Where do you imagine this going?
So let's say a couple years from now, we will invite you to a disco at the Louvre Museum in Paris. And the only thing you're going to take with you when you get off your couch at home is your data backpack. So that means you are going to move seamlessly through your rideshare, border screenings, airport screenings, border security on the other side, into another rideshare, all the way to the door of the VIP room where you are greeted and served your favorite drinks and snacks without having to ask for them. We'll be playing your favorite song when everyone welcomes you into the party, and you'll be able to enjoy that seamless movement through application environments across physical spaces, enjoying personalization without having to fill out a form at every turn.
Wow. So undoubtedly, anyone listening to this will feel incredibly inspired by the image that you've or the vision that you've laid out, and it's so great to hear a little bit more about your journey, and quite frankly, it's really inspirational. However, a lot of us are kind of experience, I suppose, the most transformation during adversity. When you think about kind of getting your organization to this point, what would you say has been some of the more transformational moments for you, and some of the things that perhaps some of the curveballs that you might have experienced along the way?
That's a beautiful question. I think, it's important for us to reflect on those moments of friction and challenge that help us rise to the occasion. And I think for me, some of the most poignant of those moments have been in making product decisions where we have to close one door to open another. So being opinionated around the infrastructure choices that we use, we have to intentionally decide where data goes to sleep at night, which means we need to prioritize some storage solutions over others. We need to prioritize some use cases over others, and we need to honor the human being, the individual in the center of all of this. And so I think, some of the challenges we encounter as product leaders really come down to how we reflect our service of users in our products, how we decide which doors to close and which to open. So for example, at Disco, we began with a very decentralized opinion around our tech stack. But then we quickly realized that the amount of data that was being demanded by our partners, the amount of use that our platform was leading to, which is really great. That was the goal. But we were then handling data in excess of what our infrastructure was built for. Basically, we had too much data flowing through the pipes and it was getting stopped up. It was not able to move swiftly enough. And so we would have folks clicking buttons in the web app or calling the API and waiting for a few seconds to even a few minutes for that response time, which is not appropriate. We're used to clicking a button in an app and immediately having a reaction in less than a second. And so it was, difficult but important for us to center our users in this experience, center the developers who are calling our API, building with our tools, and remembering that we need to honor their experience and optimize for that. And so to the extent that we were able, we really tried to make changes to our architecture to prioritize that experience and then incorporate in our roadmap ways that we could have even more decentralized solutions, but not compromise on that performance. And so that's, a continuous tension. How do we optimize for scalability, security, and usability all at once when sometimes they require trade-offs?
So for some of those decision-making points are certainly quite technical decisions that you just described. Would you say, is your background, are you coming at this as a technical founder? Is that your roots?
So I actually, I'm going to put a pin in that question for a quick second and say, I actually do not care for the distinction technical versus non-technical. I think that some folks, for example, marketing leaders, are highly technical, using quantitative information to inform their decision of media buys and how they engage their audience. I think product researchers are highly technical, reviewing mountains of Gartner data, interviews, and extrapolating insights from many different sources of information. I think designers are highly technical, appreciating the flow of user acceptance, user trust, and implicit information in the way that we design interfaces. And so I would definitely describe myself as technical, but I would also describe you as highly technical. I would describe everyone who is putting themselves in a position to contribute to cryptographically enabled technologies as very technical. Now, the question as to whether or not I'm writing code on a daily basis, I'm not. Fortunately, I have a bunch of really awesome teammates who are, outstanding in that venue and can allow us to have many different perspectives on technical architecture and the choices that we make. But I would say that I come at this role as a servant leader whose focus is human-centered design. How do we understand the processes that human beings are going through on a daily basis, and then introduce tools to remove friction and add delight and value to those processes? And I think that if you are contributing to the iteration of a technical process, you are, by definition, a technical contributor.
So I can't wait to pull this out as a snippet from the show, because I do speak to a number of founders, aspiring founders, who would consider themselves to be coming from a non-technical background, and it can definitely throw up some feelings around imposter syndrome. I think for people who are coming at it from that vantage point. And so hearing the way that you just framed that, I think is beautiful, and is a real is very thoughtful. It's very thoughtful reframe. I think that'll help a lot of people that are potentially trying to sort of navigate through that kind of concept and idea of thinking about what their value is that they're kind of bringing to the table. So thank you for sharing that so beautifully.
I appreciate you interrogating that space between the technical offering and the community of individuals and affiliated services that it might relate to. So often when we talk about developer relations, marketing, partnerships, content marketing, even technical writing, all of these roles, all of these individuals really are the frontline defense for new technology serving users, and for those individuals sort of better understanding what they're engaging with. And so I see that set of folks as translators. And it's a very important space for us to appreciate and to further develop in Web3, because every company is a media company. Every product has a story, and the only way for audiences to engage with a product is to make it become part of their own story.
Yeah, I love that. So before we wrap up, on the resources side, where would you point people to who are looking for resources and communities to really immerse themselves in as they continue on in their journey within Web3?
Well, if you're excited about the world of verifiable data, my DMs are always open at Proven Authority on Twitter and Lens. We definitely welcome all of your metaverse dreams and are excited to build with you. Please drop us a line at disco.xyz anytime. If you're exploring the crypto space, Web3, leading edge technologies like AI, and are looking for a cozy space to explore new ideas and discover new tools, I definitely welcome you to join us at boysclub.vip. Boys Club is a global community of women and non-binary people excited about emerging technologies, and it's got an incredible Discord-based community of global voices, as well as a suite of podcasts and phenomenal newsletters about crypto and artificial intelligence.
Love that. Thank you so much for those recommendations and for the open invitation for our listeners. So as we wrap up, there is one exciting update I think that you were ready to kind of share with us. So ready for you to drop that on me.
Most definitely. So we were discussing a little bit before the show about how, we can show up in many different ways in the world, but right now only our financial information, our on-chain tokens, are really being reflected when we show up with our crypto wallet. So one of the exciting ways that Disco is making an even more robust set of identity and ways to show up is supporting our partners in the media and content space. So we've recently started introducing what we call bookmarks, or embedded credentials that you can pick up and collect from newsletters you subscribe to via email, as well as credentials for podcasts such as this, so that guests can collect proofs that they have participated. They can find one another out in the metaverse, use these verifiable statements that you've indeed been a guest on a podcast to apply for jobs, to apply for future speaking positions, and to create an even more engaged and Web3 native social graph for communities. So very excited to bring these superpowers, Ginnette, to your squad, and to explore even more ways for us to use our keys in an inclusive and simple, straightforward manner that gives us some awesome human benefits.
Love that, and I'm really excited to be able to bring that immediately to our listeners and former guests. So how does this work in principle?
So actually, you don't even need to ask me for help. But of course, I'm with you every step of the way. You'll just go to disco.xyz, create a data backpack for your organization. And this goes for anyone who's listening as well. You can relate that data backpack to your Twitter handle, your Discord handle, or your website. Make it easy for others to find, and also relate it to your ENS, your Lens profile. We've got a whole bunch of different things there. And then you can decide what color or logo you want to put on your credential, make it specific to your brand, and then just drag and drop a list of addresses of those folks who you would like to send those credentials to. If you want to send them one at a time and add more specific detail, you can absolutely go ahead and do that. It's just a single click after typing in the social handle or address of the recipient. No gas, costs $0, done in just a few seconds. And if you want to drag and drop a CSV file of addresses instead of hand typing them in or copying and pasting them, you can actually drag and drop a list of up to 10,000 at a time, and then make it rain credentials to your whole community, your squad, your ecosystem, based on the types of experiences you want to build for them afterwards. Additionally, you can add things like the Disco Discord bot. So you can allow people to send GMs to each other in the form of digital assets just by clicking /GM and then at their username, making it really native and simple inside of your experience. And then there are also all sorts of other fun ways that we can build this into our apps, into our communities. So we've got a bunch more fun stuff coming soon in the coming quarter, but we are going to make it even more seamless and straightforward so that we can enjoy the apps and content and experiences we were planning to anyway, but have an additional layer of reward and community tacked on without having to interrupt our experiences.
Wow, that sounds amazing. Really exciting. Exciting to be a part of it. And you already shared a few different ways that people can kind of follow along with Disco. Where can they tune into first to hear the latest updates if they want to follow the team or follow you?
So you can always follow the team at Disco.XYZ on Twitter. I am at Proven Authority on Twitter and Lens. You can follow the latest and greatest with our team, ask us questions, and check out the newest stuff that we've got anytime in our Discord. And we look forward to seeing you all in the metaverse.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining today, Evin. Thanks for being so generous in sharing your insights, and can't wait to see how these various different sort of updates within Disco evolve, and really excited to find out and to follow more with your own community. So thank you. And to the rest of our listeners, we will see you next week for another episode of Web3 Disruptors. Thanks, Evin.
Thank you, Ginnette.